Hello and welcome to today's podcast. What do you think is the title of this podcast, where OD, Vidlana and I will discuss the general thoughts of people about twinks. Now with me I have some guests which I already named, one of which being Vidlana. Good morning.
Hello.
Or good
Hello,
evening.
Good night.
And of course our general guest, Only Dreams.
Hello.
Now, before I began writing the script of this podcast on my end, I thought it would be rather more interesting to discuss.
Scripted?
I have actually, yes.
I was given a script. Fuck.
I'm sorry, you are not supposed to be scripted, otherwise it would be really boring.
You think so?
I have got some feeling it would feel rather forced. I'm not sure whether the people are alright with that.
Okay.
Keeping it natural and all.
True.
So,
Anyway, I thought it would be rather more interesting to discuss what people might be thinking. In order to do this, I've actually been asking around on forums and Twitter to see what people respond. And I've got some answers that actually poked my eye the most. I will be bringing out some quotes and let's see what you guys think of it.
Yep.
okay. The topic is why we are twinking.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So, because you are the most general guest, you've been here most often, Only Dreams, I'm going to start off with you. And see whether or not you would disagree with the following words. Now, these are the words of a level 90 twink.
90. Twink.
Yes, a 90 twink.
Didn't even know this existed.
Well, apparently they do. I've got a
I
90
got
twink
one.
as well, but
I got
I haven't actually used it yet, so...
Is it actually a twink or is it just a character you didn't
No, it's
buff?
actually a twink. It's got best in slots.
Oh, great. Okay.
Might as well, with legendary cloak and so. Just
Yeah,
to
exactly.
it up.
That's why I kept it as a twink myself.
Yeah, same here.
Anyway, his words are that twinking is generally frowned upon due to its basically being an experienced player limiting themselves to farm the inexperienced.
That's a very old school way of looking at it. That's all the way back to when BGs was twinks mixed with normal players.
Exactly.
I would say the same.
That doesn't happen anymore at all. Like, if you play a twink bracket for PvP, you're only going to be fighting other twinks. So that's a very outdated look at it.
But it is still the most general look upon twinks as I've read over the whole forums.
That is true. A lot of people seem to have that opinion still. That you only twink just because you want the best gear so you can easily pwn the noobs, you know? But that's not the case these days. That was like back in Wrath of the Lich King or something. Yeah, I don't agree with that at all. Obviously not true.
Well, the next words that were in his quote I do actually agree with, to some extent, that is at least. So I'm going to give you these words actually, Vidlana.
Yep.
As time has gone by and patches have come to the service, changing the classes entirely, people have left and not that many have come to replace them. It's a dying way to play the game. A lot of brackets are completely dead, such as 39 to 60s, and the active ones are aren't even comparable to several years ago.
Well, yeah, it's true, basically. There's not enough twinks anymore as it used to be.
I do actually agree as well that twinks
they
are
stop
slowly declining in
dying out.
numbers.
Yeah. It's not much. It's just pure facts that's the case. So
Although, I think it's 20 to 29 the bracket is. That bracket is very active.
It is.
I
It
heard
is
so.
actually. I'm not sure how, but they did get a lot of new people recently.
Because it's a free to play bracket, right? So a lot of people who don't want to pay for the game, they can just make a level 20 twink, and they can go into BGs and they get scaled up to 29, and they can like have decent competition with the 29 twinks, and that's why that bracket is so active, because you can play it for free.
that is true.
So yeah, that's definitely the most active bracket by far. If it's worth playing or not, I don't know, because I've never tried it, but
Well,
extremely
neither
low
am I,
level
so.
PvP has never really interested me, so I don't know.
I tried it when it was 20 to 24. I tried a bit, but I never really stuck there, to be honest. Not really my thing.
Yeah. Also, I don't really like spamming BGs all day. It's kind of boring too.
Yeah,
I do
I'm
agree,
the low
yeah.
problem, in my opinion.
Even though I wouldn't mind doing a battleground for once or twice now,
Oh,
because
I guess they have skirmishes now too, don't they?
They do, yeah. It
Yeah.
seems to be really active, the last thing I read.
Yeah. Maybe it's worth trying. I don't know.
I'm thinking about trying it again, see how it likes.
I'm not too sure. I've already got so much to focus upon. The end game, level 70, level 90, things like that.
But we're not guild masters, so we can do whatever we want.
You bastard.
Aha. Perks of not having responsibilities.
Anyway, the next words, I think Only Dreams, you're the best to answer these because you PvP most of us. There's some guy who responded with these words. I'm a multi 2.4k plus level 70 twink. And for me, it is the most balanced and most fun PvP in years, like ever.
He means this patch right now?
I think so, yeah.
Definitely disagree with that. Right now, level 100 is way more balanced than level 70, sadly. But it's only a few classes at level 70. It's mostly feral druids, not actually that much feral druids, but the two main big, really unbalanced classes right now are Brewmaster Monks and Blood DKs. And probably some other tank specs as well once people start figuring it out. But those specs are just, I just talked to Danny Race in the guild chat, and he was trying a bonus armor build, and his Death Strike is healing him for 20k now. So, yeah, that is completely broken, and bonus armor in general needs to get fixed before you can even start. Like, right now people in Twinking are trying to get rating back into the bracket, but in my opinion, we need to fix bonus armor before that's even an issue, because, like, the bracket would just be completely flooded with tanks with bonus armor.
We did actually saw this coming before the patches went live as well with bonus armor.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people were theory crafting on bonus armor being the best thing, but then once the patch actually launched, then people tried it, but apparently it wasn't very effective, or people really didn't put a lot of effort into trying it, and it was quickly dismissed. But now, after a couple of months, after a month or something, people have started trying it again and really, like, putting a lot of effort into the builds and figured out that it's clearly the best thing to do, which is really annoying, but that's how it is. The most balanced bracket ever? No, definitely not. Very broken right now, but it's only the bonus armor thing. That's the main problem.
Yeah, well, if we fix that, then will classes actually be more balanced? I'm not too sure about it. I know Fury Warrior can do quite a lot, and Rogues as well, to be fair, but if, for example, bonus armor were to be gone, would the classes be much more balanced together? Or, as in, would there be...
I think it's decently balanced if you disregard the bonus armor classes completely. Feral druids and priests, disc priests, and rogues, still top tier. But as you said, even warriors are viable. Like, it's not the clear imbalance that it's always been. It's more like every class is kind of viable. There's maybe some few specs that are exceptions, but I think you can make every class work right now. Maybe except Shaman, but enhancement is decent even. So I don't know. Without the bonus armor classes, it would be pretty balanced in my opinion.
Alright. Then some other words were that 19 Twinkings give Twinking a very bad name. I believe this could have maybe been right back in the days, but I do disagree in the current days. It's not to be neglected that when Twinking started, it was indeed just killing people who didn't have their gear and kill them just for their own amusements. But this has changed over time, as we all know.
Yeah.
Yet still, this is what people think most of the time. As we discussed before, like, people always think it's just killing the people with the lowest gear. But it might be true that 19 Twinking gave Twinking a bad name, but I don't think it does anymore, and still people say that it does.
It does, but not in the same way, because the 19 Twink community, regardless of the 70 Twinking community being pretty bad, that's even worse. Like, the 19 Twink community is so toxic. I hear it from the moderators in Twink Control all the time. They're like, oh my god, I hate moderating that forum because people are just so fucking mean and toxic all the time, and I don't know. Of course, that's an aspect in every single bracket. I don't know. Always when there's like competitiveness, people are always going to get a bit angry and stuff, but that's how it is. But yeah, the thing about Twinking starting as just a way to easily kill people in BGs and stuff. Like, that's true, but it's not the case anymore. I started playing level 19 Twink back in Vanilla and TBC. Well, it's really Twink because I couldn't afford anything, but like semi-Twink, I guess. I know, just to like kill the other people in the BG is easier. I think that's how most people started Twinking in the first place, but it has evolved into something different. Now it's more based on the community and interacting with other Twinks instead, which I don't think it used to be like that.
Alright. Then there's another quote which left me thinking for a while. You hear about it a lot during Twinking, but I'm pretty sure it happens in endgame as well, even though I think it would be noticed much more quickly. Twink brackets tend to attract the biggest, as quoted, scumbags of the players. People that have no moral fiber and are willing to harvest IPs, DDoS, troll, or wannabe bullies to other people for 24/7. I do admit that there's some people who are absolutely unacceptable, but just a minority. Do you think, like, either OD or Vitlana, would you agree with his words? Like, is it really that Twinking just attracts the scumbag players?
I believe that everything will have scumbag people. Endgame has scumbag people. It just doesn't matter. It's just that the scumbags tend to stand out a bit more than those who actually are just there to enjoy the content.
Then
That's
go
true.
ahead.
Basically, the PvP community will always have the toxic players that like to engage in win trading and DDoSing and whatnot. And those are often the same people who like to trash talk each other all the time and stuff. It's just how the culture is, especially on servers like Outland and stuff. And of course, the 70 bracket has their version of that as well. And it's just how it is. That's how the PvP community is. And I think a lot of people who never really did a lot of PvP start Twinking. And because Twinking is largely based on PvP, they get introduced to the PvP bracket, and I mean to the PvP community for the first time through Twinking, and that's why they're surprised to find all these really toxic players, and that's why they come to the conclusion that Twinks are really toxic. And I don't know, that's just not true. That's just the PvP community in general that has that problem.
It's a stereotype that's not true in most cases.
Yeah.
Well, not many stereotypes are true.
Yeah, true.
Then some other words which left me a little bit sad, to be honest, but let's have a look over them anyway. Some people, I'd say, are just misinformed or misguided about it. They don't try enough. But there's a quote here, and this is really weird. Like, a guy in full tier 3, right, whispered me these words. I'm a level 70 in full tier 3, and it stood gathering dust ever since they nerfed locked experience. Characters joining normal battlegrounds. That restriction is removed there, and there's nothing much you can do about it. But to be fair, I beg there's a difference. There's much more to do than just BG. So why do people actually think that the only thing there to do is battlegrounds, and having them locked out with other people that have locked experience being the thing that kills a twink?
So I don't really get this. This is an example of a guy who is sad that he can't play with like non-twinks anymore in BGs?
Exactly.
Okay. So that's just an example of an old...
And he thinks that the only thing he can do on his level 60 character, which is in full tier 3 by the way, is playing
60.
battlegrounds.
Well, not anymore, because now they have skirmishes as well in that bracket. I know that the BGs were dead completely during the entire Mist of Pandaria expansion. They did pop at level 60, so there was nothing to do unless you were a PvEer. But now they have skirmishes, which I think pop. I talked to some level 60 twinks, and I think they said that skirmishes are popping quite frequently. So there's plenty to do now, at least.
Obviously, but the thing that I'm trying to reach at is that people who have really good twinks, like who really played back in the day, think that that is the only thing you can do. Like they don't look at the aspect that you can do PvE, for example, that you can do skirmishes or whatever. They just think battlegrounds are the only thing that's out there for a twink, and I really find it in some ways sad to see that this is the only thing people think about.
Yeah, but it's just that guy is obviously just an example of a really old school twink who probably the same guy who played level 19 twink back in the old expansions like me and just wanted to kill people easier with better gear. And now that he can't do that anymore, he's just doesn't want to play his twink anymore. So I guess that's an example of the stereotype that people think twinks are, but he's in the minority, luckily.
Indeed. Now, this is something we probably discussed often before, and I think we should keep this for a later topic, but we can go on to a brief point with this. What do you think of these next words? I wish Blizzard would do more to support PvE twinking. For example, give us Nax 40 in the Caverns of Time, but have it only accessible on a level 60 character.
Obviously, that would be nice, but I don't know.
It would be nice, but it depends on what it drops.
Well, obviously it would drop 60 twinking gear, I guess.
Well, if you drop the same old gear that people had from back then it would devalue the grandfather gear that people had from back in Nax, which is some of the most valuable stuff you can have on your account right now, is old school Nax stuff.
Yeah.
So I guess a lot of people would be pissed if it dropped the original gear, like Velana's pointing out. But
Yeah, that's the hard part. That's what should it drop, and how will people that actually got those items feel like?
if they made it like it doesn't drop anything, like people could just clear it for the challenge, and it would be just as hard as it was back then, even though that would be hard to emulate.
That would be really fun, to be honest.
Yeah, I guess but it's effort that Blizzard has to do towards Twinking, which is not something that they're known for doing.
They are not really supporting it, and I can see their point since we are a really small percent of the player base. And I'm actually happy that we can actually turn off our XP. That's a big plus, and I can't really expect Blizzard to do more.
Obviously, but it was a quick change and it really did help very lot.
Indeed.
It doesn't take much to really help the Twinks out a lot, but at the same time, Blizzard are busy with other things, and the fact that we're kind of like an abandoned part of WoW just makes Twinking a little bit more, I don't know, to some people at least, to me at least, it makes it a little bit more exciting. That it's kind of like how you're not meant to play the game. That's why people twink in the first place, I think.
I think so as well.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm twinking for as well, just doing the things we were not meant to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how the entire idea of twinking in any game spawns in the first place. Like, let's do these things that the game developers didn't want us to do. So yeah. Although some small changes would be nice, like getting raiding back, eliminating bonus armor completely would be awesome.
Yeah.
I do agree. Like, there's a lot of things they could do, as in even just really short changes that wouldn't take pretty much any of their time, but they usually just don't look into it.
Yeah. I mean, you can understand why, because they want the most people as possible to play endgame, so that they buy the expansion as soon as it comes out and stuff.
Obviously, yeah.
That's true, that.
Even though I don't know any twins who don't buy the expansions.
There are some people that have to wait for the expansion and twink in the meantime, yeah. But still, they bought the expansion, so... Twinking is usually something you do on an alt character, as in something else than endgame for a while.
Yeah, and then in some cases, like me, I've been maining Twink for like 5 years, 4 or 5 years.
I've been maining Twink during times where I've got literally nothing to do in endgame. For example, Siege of Orgrimmar. I've just been maining my Twink the whole time.
Yeah, but that was a very long period of no content.
Indeed it was.
Yep.
But I believe we've pretty much covered everything, so anything to add?
Not really.
Unban only dreams from Twinking, please.
You're going to say that every video, aren't you?
Yep. That's what happens.
Alright. Don't ban Shinela for unbanning Only Dreams or something, I guess.
We could trade. They could ban you and just unban me instead.
Fair trade.
Can't we use Vitlana for that instead? He uses Twink info less often.
Yeah,
Like
but
once
that's
a year.
for the evil moderators. They want someone who's active.
Yeah. They need good blood.
It's like Sylvanas, right? She keeps swapping place with the Valkyries. So they take her place in death, right? And then she can live.
No, yeah.
So-
Well, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Something like that. And that's what we should do with Twink Info. You can get banned so I can get unbanned. What a great plan.
I don't fancy being banned. I don't know why, but for
I know.
some reason it just...
It's fun.
You should sacrifice yourself.
No!
As someone who's been banned for a very long time, I can tell you that it's the most fun I've ever had.
Of course it is.
Okay, anyway.
I believe that's pretty much everything in the video. So, do have a good day everyone, and I'll see you next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.
There we
Nerds.
go. We've just